In this video, I will show you my favorite 10 traps that allowed me to win more chess games, and most players still fall for these traps. So our first trap is in the Vienna opening. Here you will go with bishop c4. Knight takes e4 is the Frankenstein Dracula variation. Now here, don't capture this knight, otherwise d5 will be a central fork and black will be better. Instead, play bishop takes f7, king takes, and now you will recapture this knight. Knight c6 is a natural move. Here you will play queen to f3 check. If the king goes to e8, then it's quite an equal game. But here, many players have gone king to g8, which is losing. You will play knight to g5, and it's game over for black. Now, if the queen captures this knight, then you can play queen to d5, checkmate. Therefore, black will go queen e7. You will play queen to d5, and to prevent the checkmate, black have to sacrifice his queen. This will lead to a checkmate. Therefore, black will play queen to e6, and then you can safely capture this queen, and you are completely winning in just 8 moves. Let's move on to our second trap. This is in the Sicilian defense. Play d4. This is the Smith-Morra gambit. You will play c3, offering him one more pawn. Then knight takes c3. d6 is a natural move, which opens the bishop. You will play bishop c4, a normal move. Now black go knight to f6, developing a knight. Now here, you will play e5. The best move for black is to go back with the knight. But here, many beginners go d takes e5. This is a fatal blunder and loses to bishop takes f7. Now the king have no choice but to capture this bishop, and he will lose his queen. And you are completely winning in just 8 moves. Let's move on to our third trap. This is in the Scotch opening. Now here you will play the Scotch gambit, which is bishop c4. d6 is a normal move, opening up the bishop. You will play c3, offering him another pawn. He will take it. And now you will recapture with your knight. They will go bishop to g5, pinning your knight to the queen. Now you will just castle here. And here, many players go knight to e5, putting pressure on this pinned knight. But you are not going to protect your knight with bishop to e2. Instead, shock them with knight takes e5. Now here, if they capture your knight, then you can take his bishop. Therefore, he will capture your queen instead. Now you are going to play bishop takes f7, king e7, and then you are going to finish this game with knight to d5, checkmate. Let's move on to our next trap. This is in the Bird's opening. f4, play e5. This is the From's gambit. They will take this pawn, play d6, offering him another pawn. Now recapture this pawn with your bishop. Knight to f3 is a normal development move. Now here you are going to be aggressive from start. Play g5. Now if here they go h3, then it's a mating one. Therefore, they will go e4, contouring the center. You are going to push forward. They will counter attack. Just capture this knight. They will take your bishop. Now here, you are going to play queen to h4 check. They will block with g3. Give another check with queen to e4. King f2 is forced. Give him another check with queen to d4. He cannot go back because of the mate into f2 check. King moves, and then bishop to g4 is a checkmate. Therefore, here he will take this pawn, and you are going to finish the game with bishop to g4 check, winning the queen, and your opponent will resign. Let's move on to our next trap. This is in the Italian opening. You will play knight to d4. This is the black one shilling gambit. You will capture this pawn. Now go queen to g5, hitting this knight and hitting the pawn on g2. Now knight takes f7 seems like a fork, but it's not. Play queen takes g2, hitting the rook. Rook to f1 saves the rook. Play queen takes e4 check. Now if they block with their queen, you will capture it. Therefore, they will play bishop to e2, and you will finish the game with knight to f3 checkmate. Let's move on to our next trap. This is in the Ruy Lopez. Now here you will play a6, kicking this bishop. Now going back with the bishop is a common move, but here we will be looking at the exchange variation, which is bishop takes knight. Recapture this with your d pawn. White castles. You will play bishop to g4, winning this knight. They will go h3, trying to kick this bishop out. Now here you will play h5, kind of a fishing pole. If they don't capture, then move your queen and castle on the queen side. But if they play h takes g4, then you will recapture this with your pawn, opening up the rook and hitting this knight. White saves the knight, and here you will play queen to h5, threatening mate in 1. White tries to create some breathing space for the king. You will go g3, and no matter what white does, queen to h1 is a checkmate. Let's move on to our next trap. This is one of my favorite traps. It is in the Queen's Gambit decline variation, where you will play knight bd7. Here white will exchange these pawns, and here e3 is the most common move, but the second most common move is knight takes d5, taking advantage of the fact that black cannot recapture because this knight is pinned to the queen. But you will recapture this knight with your knight anyway. White will happily capture your queen, thinking that you had made a blunder. But you are going to play bishop to b4 check. Your opponent have no choice but to block with their queen. You will capture this queen, and you can recapture this bishop with your king, and you are up a full piece. This trap deserves a like, isn't it? Let's move on to our next trap. This is in the fiddler defense. Black goes bishop to g4, pinning your knight to the queen. You will play knight to c3, developing your knight. Black plays knight to c6. Now you will play h3, kicking your bishop. If they exchange, then you can take back with your queen and castle. But they will not exchange their bishop for your knight. Instead, they will go back. Now you will play knight takes e5, sacrificing your queen. If they capture your knight, then you will capture his bishop. Therefore, they will play bishop takes queen. And now you will finish the game with bishop takes f7 check. King e7 is the only move, and you will play knight d5, checkmate. This is the legal trap. Let's move to our next trap. This trap is for the beginners, where they place knight d2. Here you will go for the lizard gambit, which is e5. They will take this pawn. You will play knight to g4. Now here many players just play h3, kicking your knight. But you can play knight to e7. And they are forced to capture this, otherwise you will capture his queen. Therefore, when pawn takes on f3, you will play queen to h4. They have no choice but to block with their pawn, and then queen takes g3 is a mate in 2. But here, there is another variation possible where they play a move like knight g to f3. You will play bishop to e7, and now when they try to kick your knight, you will go with the same idea, knight to e3. They will take this pawn, otherwise they will lose their queen. You will play bishop to h4 check, g3, and then bishop takes g3 is a checkmate. What if knight takes h4? We follow up with the same idea with queen takes h4, g3, and then queen takes g3 is a checkmate. Let's move on to our last trap, which is in the open Sicilian. Some standard moves, knight f6, knight c3, and here black goes for the dragon variation. You will play bishop to e3, and here many players goes for knight to g4, trying to create this bishop so that they will have a strong dark square control. Here you will just play bishop to b5 check, and they are lost. If they block with their knight, then you will capture this knight, pawn takes, and then bishop takes c6 is clearly winning an exchange. Therefore, here they will block with their bishop, and as you can see, this bishop is pinned to the king, so you can safely capture this and you are just up a knight. This was all. Now, if you want more videos like these, then don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. And this is a video which shows you taps in the Italian opening, so go check it out.